Back with us once again, the guy who we turn to for all of this, retired Air Force Brigadier General John Teichert, with us once again this evening. Hello, sir.
Hello, Blake.
As Robert said, it's fast moving in the Middle East today. There's a lot of news that's picked up here in the last few hours. Let's start with those bunker busting bombs, as there's a focus on the Strait. What can they do? Why is the military turning to those now?
Blake, last week, General Kane said that the Straits continue to be a tactically complex environment, which means high risk. And there are defensive and offensive sites from Iran that are buried deep enough along the outside of the Straits that a normal 2,000-pound bomb wouldn't do. And so now we're employing heavier bombs to get to deeper, more hardly buried targets so that we can take out some of that complexity.
Some of that, which leads to my question, how long do we expect to see this?
I think some experts are suggesting that maybe another week or two, but the challenge is with these small drones, those can be hidden anywhere. They pack a punch. And so the challenge is, at what point does the chairman or others say that the risk is sufficient to start steaming through that 20-mile wide waterway? And that's a pretty big gut check whenever that happens.
So you have a, not a theory, you have a belief of how the U.S., specifically the commander-in-chief, could potentially get things moving there. As you know a whole lot better than I do, they have options. They've thought about all of these options, but you have one in particular that you think we need to lean on now. Explain.
We want to impose costs on Iran without incurring risk. And my takeaway is Iran relies on Kharg Island for 90% of its energy export. They're holding the rest of the world hostage through the Straits. How about if we do the same thing on Kharg Island and say, we're going to start steaming through the Straits. The moment you strike a ship or even threaten it, we're going to take out 10% of your export capacity out of Kharg Island. And now we chip away at them and what they value most, because they've been doing the same to us.
It's still, I hear you, it still leaves us open to the possibility, though, that they could fire.
They could, and at some point, they make the decision they're willing to cash in the entirety of their economy for the foreseeable future to continue to hold the Straits at ransom. By the way, we don't rely on those Straits as much as so many other countries do, and so now it puts other countries and Iran at the disadvantage that they're hoping to put us on.
We heard from, as Libby outlined there, a host of folks today, the FBI Director Kash Patel, Tulsi Gabbard, the Director of National Intelligence, also John Radcliffe, the CIA Director. Here's what he said today about Iran's capabilities, and then we'll pick it up.
If left unimpeded, yes, Senator, they would have the ability to range missiles to the continental U.S.
He basically suggested there Iran could have had the ability to reach us here in the U.S. He obviously has the intelligence. He's the CIA director. Is that a first that you've heard of that? Do you believe that that could have been the case?
Blake, I firmly believe that is an aspirational truth.
Okay.
They hope that they could, but all of the ranges of missiles that I know about could hit the southeast of Europe, could hit North Africa or Central Asia, but I have never heard of their ability currently existing to strike the United States.
Let's get to some of Robert Sherman's reporting tonight. Cluster munitions, which is what has started to occur there from the Iranian side into Israel. How new is this, and what does this suggest as to where Iran could potentially go from here?
Those have been around for a long time, but they're particularly challenging because the container of the missile opens up mid-flight and scatters dozens of bomblets. So now it destroys the ability to use a large swath of area, partly because those bomblets explode, but partly because about half of them are duds. So now you need to defuse those bombs that are scattered across a big area, and that's a particular challenge.
Oil futures right now are at $99 a barrel this evening, and it happened with the targeting of the energy sites. Iran going after that LNG facility in Qatar. How can, if at all, the United States play into the factor of trying to make sure that those sites don't get hit from Iran?
Blake, I don't think this is new. For the last 2.5 weeks, 80% of Iran's strikes on the Arab neighbors, the Gulf countries, have been on civilian targets, largely energy. Where we are falling short is our drone defenses. We have been really good at defending against high-end threats like ballistic missiles and cruise missiles, but we didn't go to school on what Ukraine's learned for the last 4 years about drones, and now we're playing catch-up, and we should have been doing that long ago.
All right, General John Teichert with us tonight. Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Blake.